Chris here with High Seas Cruising, and welcome to today's video. Alright, we got some cruise news stories for you today. Got some casino stories, got some cruise cancellations, got some engine problems, and we have some information from the CDC, which could be some good news for future cruises. But let's start with Carnival Corporation. Now, the Carnival Corporation has announced a partnership with BetMGM in order to bring sports betting on board the Carnival Corporation brand of cruise ships. So we're talking Carnival Cruise Lines, Holland America Cruise Lines, and Princess Cruise Lines. So the sports betting is going to be coming to over 50 different ships spread across the three brands. So if you're into any kind of sports betting and sports gambling, well, this could be something for you. And of course, it's definitely going to mean more money for the cruise ships, because they say sports betting accounts for 30 to 40% of the gambling worldwide. So if the cruise lines are going to get a little piece of this, naturally it is going to benefit them. It is going to put more money in their pockets. But if you are a fan of sports betting, this is something you're going to be able to partake here in the future on board cruise ships. Now, they did not specify which cruise ships would be the first to receive this as it begins to roll out here in the next couple of months. So if you have any upcoming cruises, just kind of keep an eye out for it if you're on Carnival, Princess, or Holland America, and you may see sports betting on board your ship. So Norwegian Cruise Lines, well, they have announced that they are going to be canceling the first two sailings of the Norwegian Viva, which is the sister ship, or the upcoming sister ship, to the Norwegian Prima. Now, these sailings were scheduled to take place on June 15th and June 24th of 2023. And this is due to a worldwide global supply chain issue that just has affected construction at the shipyard. It's created delays that is going to prevent the ship from getting out and completed on time. Now, passengers that were booked on these first two cruises, they are automatically going to receive a 100% refund, and no further action is required on their part. And with the supply chain issues we're seeing worldwide in all different kinds of markets, not just cruise lines, but just about with everything, something like this, honestly and unfortunately, is just not a big shock right now. Princess Cruise Lines, particularly the Crown Princess. Problems with the Crown Princess and her engines are continuing to cause itinerary changes and issues for passengers sailing in Alaska. So we've talked about the Crown Princess before. When she resumed sailing here back in May, she almost immediately started having engine problems. One of her generators was having an issue. Another generator was down for maintenance. It was creating speed issues with the ship and causing itinerary changes. So let's fast forward here the last few weeks. Now we're into June, and we are still seeing issues and problems with the propulsion system on board the Crown Princess. So in her most recent sailing, Ketchikan, well, that port got removed altogether due to the speed issue. And then while they're out enjoying their cruise, they get informed that their stop in Juneau, Alaska, well, it's going to be cut short by a little bit, also because of these propulsion problems. And this is something that Princess Cruise Line has known about. This is something that has been ongoing. And here is a section from the email that they did send out. Crown Princess is currently experiencing a technical issue with one of her diesel generators. This is in addition to the diesel generator that is currently out of service for scheduled maintenance. While this in no way affects the safety of our guests or crew, which is our highest priority, it does restrict our ability to operate at full speed. Now, this is from a section of an email that was actually sent back in May. So this isn't a new problem. This isn't a new issue. This is an ongoing issue that Princess has had with the Crown Princess. Now, for guests on board that are being affected by these changes, Princess is offering a $100 onboard credit per person to be used during the voyage. Now, I will be the first one to tell you that you have a cruise contract that says your itinerary may change. Weather can affect your itinerary. All different kinds of things can affect your itinerary, including mechanical issues such as this. And it's all part of cruising. we can agree that, stuff happens and itineraries change. Where I kind of start to get a little iffy on that, though, is when this is an ongoing issue, when we're starting to head into 2 months of the same problem. Itinerary changes being, affecting cruise after cruise, and the cruise line is not solving and fixing the problem. That's kind of when I'm like, you got to reach a point, I think, eventually where it's, not something that, look, it's broke and we're going to fix it and the problem's going to go away. It's a weather issue. We can't control it. There are things like that where, yeah, I definitely agree that itinerary changes can happen. But when it's sailing after sailing that it's a problem, then you kind of got to stop a little bit, at least in my opinion, and be like, look, something has to get done. But I don't know. You guys are going to have to let me know what you think. In this case of the Crown Princess and an ongoing issue, do you really think it's enough that they just continue to sail the ship, making itinerary change after itinerary change, knowing there's a problem, and giving people only $100 onboard credit? Or do you think maybe, look, they just need to stop for a minute, fix the problem, solve the issue so it stops being any kind of so it just stops being a problem from here on out? Or what do you think? Are they just trying to get this ship through the Alaska season and then worry about it? I honestly don't know, but I do think that there is a point, there is a time where the itinerary changes can become excessive based on a specific issue such as this. But you guys, let me know what y'all think below. Is Princess doing enough? And finally, we got a little bit of information from the CDC in regards to cruise ships and pre-cruise testing. Now look, it's been a subject a lot of people have been talking about lately. Now that there is no longer a test required for international travelers to enter the United States by air, the cruise lines, look, we should be next, right? We need to take a look at the pre-cruise testing requirements for cruise ships and possibly, begin to scale that down, do away with it, change the protocols on that a little bit to kind of equal and balance out with everything else that's going on in the world. And the CDC at least acknowledges that it needs to be looked at. CDC continues to evaluate the latest science and state of the pandemic and is currently reassessing the testing requirement for cruise ships. CDC remains dedicated to working with the cruise industry to minimize the spread of COVID-19, providing a safer and healthier travel environment for passengers and crew. So the statement doesn't say they're going to end testing, doesn't say that there's going to be a change in testing, but it at least, at the minimum, says that they acknowledge that it needs to be reevaluated for some possible changes. Now, one of the changes I've kind of heard thrown around a little bit is that maybe pre-cruise testing for those that are fully vaccinated may be the first one to stop. Those that are still unvaccinated would still have to pre-cruise test. Kind of like a gradual reduction in the pre-cruise testing requirement. That could be a possibility. They could do away with it altogether. That could be a possibility. They could make no changes. Unfortunately, that too is a possibility, and everything is just really a guess until the CDC actually puts out the information and the cruise lines implement the changes. But I do truly believe it is going to be a gradual reduction. I don't think that anything's just going to poof, disappear, and be gone. Okay? And I know there's people out there that would like that. They write it in the comments of the videos we put out. Look, I understand. You want all testing requirements to end immediately. All vaccination requirements to end immediately. I had one where someone said, well, they should just have cruise ships that are just unvaccinated only. Look, the CDC is not going to allow any of that to just poof and happen. Like it or not, agree with it or not, this is reality. No matter how much you want this to immediately change, look, it's probably not going to. I think the truth and the reality is that we're going to see a gradual reduction in health and safety protocols. Most likely, it's going to start with the testing. Most likely, it's going to start with those that are fully vaccinated. Remember, the CDC's definition of fully vaccinated includes booster shots. So they may start as high as that and say, okay, if you are up to date, fully vaccinated, you don't have to pretest. Then they move down to the next vaccinated level. Eventually, you'll get to the unvaccinated. I think the vaccination requirements on board the cruise ship, that's going to be somewhere further down the road, very likely next year at the earliest. So, look, I know there's people out there that do not like this. I know there's people out there that want it to change immediately. I get it. I see it in your comments. But I'm sorry, I don't believe that's going to happen anytime immediately soon this year at all. Expect to see some type of health and safety protocols, at least here into the near future. For cruise lines, for now, this is just going to be their new normal. They're held to a different level by the CDC than any other group out there. We've argued it the entire time, but that's just how it is. It's the way it is. A lot of ports that the cruise ships go and visit outside of the United States still require certain items for the cruise ships to go there. The cruise lines have to show people were tested. The cruise lines have to show people are vaccinated before the cruise ship can dock there. So for those folks that say, Carnival, Princess, Royal Caribbean needs to stop this right now, they can't. Okay? No matter how many times you type it in the comments, they can't just stop it. They don't have that option. They can either play the game or they can stop cruising. They're a business. They need to make money, so they're not going to just stop cruising if they can help it. Okay? And purely from a business and money standpoint right now, these cruise ships are at capacity. Okay? Bookings are up. People are sailing. These ships are getting full. I mean, they've had staff shortages where they had to consider reducing capacity on the ships so they could take care of the number of guests that are booking and want to cruise. And that is under the health and safety protocols that are in place right now. Maybe the cruise lines would be pushing harder if they weren't making money, but they are. So they're going to go with the flow of what the CDC wants. They're going to go with the flow of what the cruise ports want. Because right now, honestly, like it, dislike it, good, bad, whatever your opinion is, it's working for them. And that's, unfortunately, is just the way it is. I do think we will get back to the normal. I do think testing, like I said, testing is going to go away first. Then they'll look at, some of the requirements on board the ship. Vaccines will go away, hopefully, someday. I just don't think it's going to be this year. But every step we take forward is still, even if it's just teeny tiny, at least the CDC is now admitting that they're at least thinking about it. And it wasn't just a hard no. All right, I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. If you have, do me a favor, give it a thumbs up. Have yourself a great day, and like always, we will see you out on the high seas.